Hey there. Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, today we're going to have a redo. I did a video yesterday about how to make a square box and you don't do any measuring. I was actually trying to make 2 points. I was going to show you how to do it, and you really aren't doing any measuring and you can come out perfectly square. And I also was going to kind of show you some of the quick features of why I like my gripper, because I can take a piece like this, which is very narrow this way, and I can still cross cut it this way on my table saw safely without using my table saw sled. So anyway, I left out a critical step. It was really weird. I've been doing this for years and years. It's just one of those senior moment things. And all I can say is that, so today we're going to redo it, and I'm going to make sure I put that step back in, and I'll point it out to you. I'm probably going to unlist the other one because I don't like having information that's incorrect out there. It always drives me crazy when I see it. That is a classic example of it. So we're going to redo it. The only thing I can tell you is I am very glad that I am as old as I am now, because I can call this a senior moment. Years ago, I used to do the same silly thing now and then. Back then, I couldn't call it anything but stupid. So at least getting older has its advantages. So anyway, about that senior moment. Let me show you how to do it right. And then I want to go over with you and challenge you to something on this after you see this, to see how you can take what you learned here today and do something else. Very cool. So let's go ahead and let me go over the steps. I'm going to let you take a look at the saw. And let me set up here, and we're going to do this cutting. So first thing we want to do is, I set it already to 4 1/4 inches. And we're going to do this cut through here. Now, normally this looks pretty yucky to do, and I would agree with you, other than the fact that I have this, my gripper that I use, silicone base, and it will hold on to whatever I grab a hold of. The other thing is that you also are supposed to keep it against the fence like this, so that everything is against the fence, so that now this piece can't do this, because this is dictating it's running parallel on here at all times. So I can do this as long as I'm pushing that way and down. This piece is going to stay against that fence perfectly, even through the cut. That's one of the reasons why I like this gripper over most other ways I used to do cutting small pieces. It makes it possible for me to cut a narrow piece without having to get my table saw sled out to do a couple of quick cuts. So let's go ahead, and we're going to cut this into 4 equal pieces so that we have the 4 sides. And because we're using a butt joint, we're going to then have to take 2 of them and cut that down in size. And we're going to do all that without any real measuring. And you can do it in a matter of seconds, so that it's a lot easier and quicker than having to get your measure out and make a measurement, which may or may not make a mistake anyway. So let's go ahead and do it. First thing we do is cut them all to 4 pieces the same length. So holding it, setting that over there, get right over it comfortably. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. So now that I have those cut, and all 4 are exactly the same size, I now have the makings of a square box if I do a miter joint, because then the length is correct on all 4. But because I'm going to a butt joint, 2 of these have to be a little shorter by the thickness of these. So I'm going to do that here real quick, and it only takes a second to make that adjustment on these 2 pieces. And the way you do that is take the 2 of them to gain the thickness, and I bring it up against here, and now that I have this, that's what I want for the cut. But that's not the cut. Because on these, I cut these with the piece I wanted on the right side of the blade. Now we're going to make a cut where we want this side. So my measurement between here is only to the left side, the right side of the blade, we wanted to cut what's left to be only the perfect length. So we have to compensate for the thickness of the blade. So that means I got to move this over. Now, as I've told you many times, I know my equipment very well. Excuse me. And I have a 7 1/4 blade in here. It cuts a 1/16 of an inch kerf. For that reason, I look at my scale, see where it is, and I'm going to move this over 1/16 of an inch. Like so. Now when I cut these, it will be cutting off just the right amount, because what's left, which is what I want to be the right length, is determined by the right side of the blade. So I take my gripper and I put it up here to see which way I want to hold it now, since I changed it, and it's in the black when I'm facing this way. So this is the way I'm going to hold it. And these two pieces, let's mark them so we don't get confused. Again, these are my sides and these are my ends. So to cut to the final length, we're going to do the same thing we did there, only this time the blade is going to actually go over the top of this and go on a rut that I have on my piece. So let's go ahead and let's do this final cut. And now, what I have is 4 pieces. And if I hold those two up, this one here, whoops, one of each. This is a shorty. So if I add the width here plus this, it should be perfect here, which it is. So now when I put this box together with butt joints, using these two as my inside, as my side pieces, I'll get a perfectly square box. That is how you make a perfectly square box. I didn't get my tape measure out or anything, or have to do remeasure, and mark. Because I know my equipment, I could make that real quick and easy when I get done, when I glue this up, and I'll let you know for sure. But this one will come out exactly square without doing any real measuring to do it. Now, the last one, yes, it did not come out square, the one from yesterday. It actually came out 1/16 of an inch less. That's because of the width of my kerf of my blade. So you have to keep that in mind when you do that. So now you say, well, why do I need to know that? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's nice to know these little things and apply them every day as you're out in the shop working, to do these quick little things to save you time when you feel like, hey, I'm not rushing it, but I can do this a little quicker if I just do this, rather than getting off the sled. So that's the whole idea behind showing you these little tricks that I do all the time. And most of the time, I don't even think about them before I do it. So with that in mind, I would like for you now to think about how to use this same technique. And I guarantee you, you don't need to know the measurement. The only thing you need to do is take a sheet of plywood and cut it into 6 pieces. And when you get done, it makes a perfect cube in all directions. And you can do it without doing any measuring other than that adjustment of the 16th on the fence when you do that to make the other pieces. It's a little bit of a twister in the head. It's an OTB thing. But I think we can do that. So what I would like to know is if anybody wants to see how you do that, so that we take this and take it to the next level where we don't have to measure it and I can make a perfect cube without using a tape measure to do it. If you're interested, let me know. If you already know how to do it by thinking through what you already learned here and that you could do it, let me know. You don't have to explain it. Just tell me you know how. I would love to know who knows and who wants to know. Have me show them. And if enough people want me to show it to them, I'll do a cube next time and using the same method where I don't use a tape measure or anything to measure it. Then we'll put the cube together and see if it comes out the way it's supposed to. Okay? So anyway, that's the plan, and everything will be butt jointed together in that cube. So that means that things are going to be different sizes on it. And so we can do that without a tape measure. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming by. Sorry I had to do a redo. Senior moment. That's my excuse, and I'm not changing it. So, but if you have any comments or thoughts, leave them in the comments below. I do read them all, and I thank you guys from before. Engineer Mike and can't remember the other gentleman, and Tim also mentioned to me my mistake. And by the time I heard the first one and I answered it, I got to thinking about it. That's when it all started to come together. Oh, I just left that step out of reshifting it by a 16th. Again, don't know why, but it happens. Thank you guys for bringing that to my attention. That's one of the reasons why I read the comments, to make sure that I'm not giving you bad information, because that's the last thing we really need out there on the internet, is any more of that kind of stuff. So leave your comments. If you learned something here, or if you like this video, hit that like button. Lets me know that I'm doing the right thing around here. Most importantly, though, please come back again, because I'm nowhere near done, even if I have to do it more than once. Thanks, and we'll see you guys again soon.